Welcome to another edition of the Heron Outlet. She is Alex Winley, he is Austin Roblard, and I am Ian Hest. And guys, it's a week away, the introduction of Lionel Messi into Inter Miami over this weekend, and the first game we expect him to play for the Herons a week from Friday as we get ready for the final game in the pre-Messi era coming up this weekend at St. Louis, the first time Inter Miami will ever make the trip over to the gateway of the Americas and St. Louis City SC, off to an amazing start for an expansion team. And let's start with the unveil. I think that's the big thing as we get ready for the we've been having all of these preparations for Messi coming, and we now even, as we learned the other day, he's a Publix shopper. And the internet going absolutely insane for Messi's first trip to Publix, where he got all sorts of things. Guys, this is just I can't believe that each one of these things is going to be interesting. We had his first night out with his family on South Beach, going to an Italian restaurant. They're a very good Italian restaurant, I might add. Not that they're giving me anything to plug this, but he went out there with his family, then getting some public shopping in as well. I guess this is just what we got to get used to now, right?
Yeah, and it still seems kind of surreal. We were discussing in the group chat about whether or not he's getting, a public sub and just all this craziness. And, it's just regular old Publix that we all go to for literally everything. To see Messi and his family just casually shopping for what, Lucky Charms. I'm looking at the photo now. What I think he had like wheat thins or and like Cheerios, and it's just like it's
he's got three
the new
kids,
normal.
so it's probably for them.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I don't think someone like Messi's out here eating high fructose corn syrup, sugary cereal for breakfast. But yeah, it's just really crazy. And yeah, I don't know how to describe it, but it just feels very strange seeing a superstar doing normal things.
Yeah, those might be some of the funniest photos that I've just seen, like objectively funny. Like at first when the one with the shopping cart came out, I was like, "Oh my god, this is hilarious." And then more and more photos of him in the store started to get released, and just seeing him interact in daily life is just something. It's like a surreal thing to look at from an outside perspective, like, because we see him on this pedestal. The whole world sees him on this pedestal, and it's like, you have to remember this guy is just a human too. And granted, I don't know if he's ever been able to grocery shop in the last 10, 15 years by himself before, given his popularity. But now being in a place where, granted, obviously there is a huge population of Argentinians and football fans in South Florida, it's still the United States of America. It's still a growing sport. And I think that he has a little bit more freedom now to do normal human things. And that's probably a lot of which we actually talked about a lot of in the first episode when he was announced, about being able to enjoy life with his family. That was a huge factor in this decision. I know I'm reading into a public shopping trip way too much, but I think this epitomizes that entire discussion. I think it's exactly what we were talking about in that episode. It's such a great thing to see. I'm obviously super excited for everything that's to come. And, every day since he landed in Fort Lauderdale, we've had news about what Messi has been doing since then. And I don't think that's going to stop all the way up to the unveil as we're recording this on Friday up until Sunday. I just think it's such a crazy experience for him. It's such a crazy experience for everybody around him, for Inter Miami fans. And all everything in the future is just looking more and more promising by the day, because the excitement is so real.
I don't think that you're reading too much into it at all. I think that him going out to Publix with his family, I mean, there was the picture of the 5 of them out at Publix. I think that's almost exactly the reason that he chose Miami over perhaps other options. Because, I mean, I was laughing hysterically at the photo of him in the line with the lady in the background on her cell phone, completely oblivious to what is happening. And I think, I'm just thinking to myself, that's what, maybe, a Miami Beach Publix right there. She has no clue who Lionel Messi is, and he probably loves absolutely every single second of that. She's probably curious why people are going up and taking photos with him. I got to be honest, with the first one that I saw was of him and the guy in front of the High Noons, and I thought it was Photoshopped, because I was like, there's no way that this is real. It was way too funny. But like you said, Alex, this is completely surreal. I joked that, his first trip to Extreme Action Park is going to be a heck of an experience because, just right after the game, they can hop over to the place and take the kids, I guess. I wonder, like you said, Austin, how long this is going to go. I think that there's going to be some level of it that continues throughout the 2.5 years. But I think once we start playing games, at least as someone who has covered this team for since its inception, as we all have, that I hope that we get more back to the games. That being said, stuff like this is pretty funny, and I think that we can enjoy, wondering what was in his pub sub, or if he got the mac and cheese from the deli or something like that, Alex.
Yeah, and I don't know. It's just really cool and strange to see, and it just gives him a sense of like normalcy, I guess. Like you said, Ian, he probably chose coming to Miami specifically to be able to do normal things like a regular human. And yes, there were some people taking photos and kind of coming out going after him, but he wasn't necessarily swarmed like he would have. Going to, I don't know what he had, the Saudi Arabia offer, maybe going back to Barcelona even. But in Miami, obviously people know him, but at the same time, he could walk into Publix or I don't want to say Flanagan's. I'm not a big Flanagan's fan. We were talking before.
Whoa! Breaking news on the pod.
It is. I don't know. Last time I went, I just didn't like the food. Maybe I have to try it again, but I don't know. But like him walking to any restaurant like a Flanagan's or like Beckham was at Miami Pizza Slice with, I think, Joseph Martinez. It's probably like a team thing. But yeah, it's crazy seeing him act normal despite the cameras following his every move. And yeah, throughout these 2 years, maybe it'll die down a little, but it just is really surreal to see.
Well, Austin, to your point, he couldn't even drive into his own home when he was in Argentina. And we can go with all the problems that happened there as well. But that is a huge difference to be able to be swarmed like that, trying to just get into your own home, your own guarded with a fence like a home. It was difficult for him to do. Now, what are 5 photos when you're judging against that? What are 5 photos in Publix? It really seems like such a huge difference and a huge weight. Just thinking about the life that you're trying to raise your wife, with your wife, your 3 children with, that to raise a family together, that must be such a relief.
Yeah, and I'm really hoping it continues this way for him because, it would. I don't think that it's going to be like as normal as it was maybe for the public experience for for his entire tenure here in South Florida. I think just starting and getting his bearings and everything, our producer Andres, who obviously does a great job with us on the Heron Outlet, put in our little chat here just now. I think he's testing the waters, and I kind of agree with that. I think that it's kind of, what can I do? What can't I do? Can I go grocery shopping? Can I go out to, let's just say, an Italian restaurant in South Beach and sit down and not make reservations and just enjoy myself? I've also seen a ton of videos too of him down in the streets of Miami, granted with an entourage, and fans lined up on the street, one fan even kissing his cheek and getting so close to him. But Messi still seems like so relaxed and so calm, signing jerseys as he's walking, keeping it going. I hope that he has peace of mind here. I hope that he enjoys his time here. I think obviously for everything that he's done for the sport, he probably deserves a little bit of a relaxation period. Now, when it comes to on the pitch, I think things will start to change, as you said, Ian. I think when he starts to play football, it'll become more about football rather than these, we're kind of just grasping at everything we can get right now in terms of Messi content because he hasn't played a game yet. He's been signed for a little, or he's been announced. His decision has been announced for about a month now, and he still has not played a game. So we're grasping at everything we possibly can to, get any kind of coverage on Lionel Messi. And that's just before game time. So once game time comes, I think the conversations will start to change a little bit. But for now, Messi and everybody who covers Inter Miami Messi should enjoy this period.
The only thing, I don't want to put a damper on this at all. My only hope would be that now we don't have people like trying to be sleuths to figure out which Publix it was, and now that Publix is inundated all the
Yeah.
time with people just hanging out in front of just a PSA. Live your life. Don't be shameless. He has a life. He has a family too. Like you can do this within the parameters of normalcy and be respectful. Always understand that there is a human being and a family behind this. Just always want to remind everybody of that. Interestingly enough, as we continue to talk about that, Alex, let's talk about our fun experience earlier this week, because we were an interesting experience, to say the least, at training this week. As things get closer and closer, noticing more and more and more media that keep showing up at training. And Austin, a joke that maybe we should talk about it, because I found it interesting. We were there on Wednesday talking to not Lionel Messi, not Sergio Busquets, not Jordi Alba, not Tata Martino. We were talking to Joseph Martinez and Drake Callender ahead of the St. Louis City SC game. And if I had been doing an episode of the Heron Outlet a month ago, and we would have been talking in our group chat, and I would have been on here, I probably would have been the only one. There might have been one or two other people. Michelle Kaufman definitely is always there. But so I to see the difference between what was there in front of us, which was probably between 50 and 100 reporters, and all of the questions that were asked of Joseph and Drake were Messi questions. I was a little bit stunned by that, because I figured, well, Joseph has talked about this already. Like, we've kind of gotten our fill of it. And yet still it was, those questions. What did you make of, I mean, even the security of the wands and the wristbands and the mad rush that was trying to get onto the field? It felt, a little bit odd for media to be rushing like that. I've never really experienced something like that before.
Yeah, I do think it was a proper Miami style setup, honestly. I do think that it was a little sloppy. I think you and I were sitting outside in the sun for about 30 minutes, which is understandable. Tata didn't want us to, some of us are tactically inclined, so he probably didn't want any of his coaching plan to
and we should say, though,
for the game. But
we should say that's not new, right? Phil Neville used to do that as well. Like, so there's nothing original about that. The amount of people that are sitting around
15
us,
minutes, and to that point, the 30 minutes we were sitting there, I think Michelle Kaufman from the Miami Herald pointed out that there was a pre-check-in line where we have to get wristbands and kind of scan down with like a security scanner, and she pointed out, rightfully so, that they probably could have done that while we were sitting in the hot sun for 30 minutes and not have waited until that 15-minute period of media availability was about to happen. And I did personally think it was a little bit sloppy. Obviously, there's a lot of media there and a lot of security, but it was just a little sloppy for me. And obviously, as time goes on, they're obviously they're going to fix that and have it a little bit smoother. But I struggle, not struggle, but I'm trying to imagine what it's going to be like next week when Messi officially has his first open training, and how that's going to work. And already, like you said, Ian, people were swarming Joseph Martinez and Drake Callender about Messi. Next week when Messi actually has his first open practice, I'm sure the media will continue to ramp up. You said 50 to, 100 journalists and reporters were there. I think it's going to, I don't know how many more people are going to show up next week, and luckily, the Heron Outlet will be there covering for you all. But it was just really crazy and surreal, and I was getting pushed, and I was respectful about it, and we were able to get some questions in that as well. But it was like you said, Ian, some of the questions there too, obviously Messi focused, but I think there was one where someone asked Drake Callender if Messi is going to help him become a better player, which is funny.
Hold on, because this was my favorite. This was my favorite one. It was, do you think that you'll be able to assist Messi on some goals? To Drake Callender. which I thought was very
Which
funny.
is anything
I don't
like
know what
that
happened
happened.
there. But listen, we've all been there before. So I'm not going to call anybody out, but I did think that was funny. And Drake handled it in stride. He said, "Well, I think that might be
Yeah,
possible. I'll send one down the field, and we'll see what happens." But I thought
yeah,
that
yeah.
was a funny question.
Yeah, but it was just pure silliness and proper Miami. We were sweating and the heat, and yeah, it was just the typical South Florida things, and you kind of roll with it. And I'm looking forward to getting there next week and seeing how it's handled. So yeah, that's just the first step, the first chapter and Messi Mania down here, and we still haven't even gotten to the St. Louis game yet. So yeah, it's gonna be a crazy 2 weeks.
And I think that all of this is a learning experience for everybody involved,
Yeah.
for us as journalists, for the fans that are listening to this, and for the team itself. I mean, they've certainly never. I mean, the closest thing that they've ever experienced to this was when Argentina was training at the practice facility. Pre World Cup, and in that time they had to
Mhm.
ramp up security, and there was even like I think some guy tried to climb one of the palm trees and they had to pull him down because he was trying to get in through that. So like that's the closest experience that they're going to have with this, but to have it time and time again, I mean, I commend those security guards for having the patience that they've had with us, with everything that's been going on, and especially the Inter Miami press office. I mean, Molly, Rafa, Michael, Maury, like all these guys, really have had the patience of a
Yeah,
Buddhist monk. I mean, it's like
yeah.
unbelievable what they've been dealing with right now, just
Kudos to them.
compared to
Yeah.
what was happening before. So credit where credit is due. Everybody's in this brave new world together, and trying to figure it out. So I think over time it'll improve, and we'll figure out just how best that this all will go. Guys, that does lead us to the unveil, the big event Sunday night, concerts galore, big hours long presentation at halftime of the Gold Cup final. Lionel Messi and expected Sergio Busquets to be introduced as official Inter Miami players. It was June 7th when Lionel Messi had made his announcement that he was going to come to Inter Miami. So about 5 weeks, 6 weeks since that time, Timo Pukki announced 20 days later that he
Mhm.
would be joining Minnesota United, and he already scored a goal midweek. So it's been a long wait for Inter Miami fans, but it seems like the time has already come and will be here. And Messi will be announced. Sergio Busquets, I think, expected to be announced. The club hasn't announced that yet, but I've heard that that's probably going to be the case. I don't know if he's going to be
Mm.
playing on July 21st. There is a little bit of a hiccup on his visa. But we'll have more about that later when there's more information on it. But yeah, let's talk about the unveil, what we're expecting, how excited we are, Austin. I don't think that this is an event like any other, really. And you think of if Messi had gone back to Barcelona. I know Camp Nou's under construction, but they probably would have had a similar style event with 100,000 people. This is going to be a little bit
The
different at DraftKings
return.
Stadium.
Yeah, it's also going to be something that we've never seen before at Drive Pink Stadium. There has never been anything like this in the short history of the facility, and I am still like really curious to see what is about to happen. Like, I know we know that there's going to be speeches and Messi and possibly Busquets, and depending on, I believe, the birth of his child, Jordi Alba.
Yeah.
Then we also have rumored celebrities and stars on a possible stage putting on concerts. Like, I don't know if there's anything to compare this to. I know that there are a lot of, this is a very common thing in terms of unveils in European football, when they sign a big star and they'll juggle the ball in front of reporters and at the stadium and things like that. But this is on another level, guys. Like, the ownership group is like, no, this is the biggest signing of all time. We're going to treat it like such, and we're going to give our season ticket holders and fans not only free tickets, but then this morning they just gave the ability to non-season ticket holders. They gave them the ability to buy $30 tickets to go to this event, and they're
Wow.
going to sell out that stadium. So for very cheap, to get people in front of them, to get them hyped about the signing, they're putting all of their money and all of their backing behind a huge event. It's just unbelievable to think about. It's unbelievable to fathom, and I'm just waiting for the day that it happens, because I know there are going to be so many different conversations surrounding what happened on that Sunday. And leading right into that, then we have Messi's introductory press conference. And leading right into that, we have his first open training. It's just back to back to back huge events going on. But this one should be the most fun of them all.
Mm. Yeah, and it like I was saying earlier, it's just going to be breakneck speed the next 2 weeks, and yeah, it's going to be an interesting time and a great time for everyone who's covering the team and fans of the team, and obviously the Heron Outlet will have everything covered, and yeah, the unveil. I'm definitely looking forward to that one. I don't know if you guys have seen on social media the stands going up on the sides. Admittedly, I thought the bleachers would be a little bit more grand than that. It looks very like Miami Grand Prix pop-up bleachers, but that worked fine. But
but they had
Miami
2 weeks to do this. I mean, they had 2 weeks to build 3,200
no
seats.
time.
Yeah, but still, I expected it to be a little bit. I don't know. I genuinely thought they were just going to fill in the rest of the sides, but I don't know. I'm not in construction, but yeah, still, like you said, they had to get extra seats in there somehow. And yeah, I think it's just going to be one giant festive event. And already I'm seeing some fans of other MLS teams and even some other reporters from different teams. Ian, you probably know what sect of the U.S. I'm specifically talking about. I'm talking about how they're just not really irritated, but they think the pomp and circumstance is a little bit too much.
Boston.
Yeah.
It's always Boston.
I didn't see names. But yeah, they're just they probably think it's a little bit too much, but it's Messi, and Miami always does flashiness like this. And Miami, despite them being last, Tata Martino did say that they're going to take climbing up the table day by day, and obviously I think their first goal is to win the US Open Cup. And I don't know if you guys saw, but I said in the chat how the official US Open Cup account had Messi in Publix with the US Open Cup trophy in his cart, so it's clearly something Miami has their eye on. And I don't know if you guys saw the Felipe Cardenas tweet. He was interviewing Lucho Acosta from FC Cincinnati, Miami's opponent, during the Open Cup semifinal on August 23rd. And Lucho basically said, I think Cardenas, his kids came in the room, and he said, that's the guy who's going to play alongside, against Messi. And Lucho Acosta was like, no, we're gonna beat Messi. So some early warning signs, some friendly banter already going on about the U.S. Open Cup semifinal. But yeah, Miami's going to look to win that. And I don't know how I got to a tangent about the U.S. Open Cup, but yeah, the unveiling first Messi has to sign his contract, but on Sunday it's going to be this giant festival, and I don't know if Shakira and Bad Bunny are going.
That's what I was going to ask. So this is what I was going to ask. First, I'm going to say those bleachers are going to be hot because those are metal bleachers.
Yeah.
So make sure you bring a cushion with you if you're going to sit over there.
Yes.
But that being said, yeah, who would you want to see? There's a lot of talk about who's going to play at this concert. We've heard Pitbull, we've heard Bad Bunny, we've heard Shakira and J-Lo, Malama. Who else? Miami Sound Machine could get Gloria Stefan going to make a comeback. Yeah, they play her song before the start.
They play her songs before the start. Honestly, I'm a fan of Pitbull, so that would literally be the most fitting thing. He screams 305 on every single song he's on, but they're in Broward, Miami, so I don't think that makes sense. I know this is like fangirl me, but Ariana Grande's from Boca Raton, and that's like such a left field choice, but she's from the area, so I don't know, but she's probably busy with her musical Wicked. But yeah, Pitbull for me personally would be great, but yeah, I don't know. Shakira is she's busy with Lewis Hamilton, so I don't know if she'll make the stop to South Florida right now. But whoever it is, I think it's just going to be absolutely madness, and hopefully fitting for someone like Messi,
I want to switch the topic really quick. 1 second. You mentioned Felipe Cardenas, who I respect so much as a reporter.
Mm-hmm.
He said that Kroger is better than Publix in response to the Messi stuff.
What's a Kroger?
That is crazy. That is just madness. I should have brought it up earlier.
We're calling you out. What was that?
Felipe, that is crazy talk. You are an outstanding football reporter. Don't get me wrong, but my word, you don't know anything about grocery stores.
The Kroger.
Holy moly! Anyway,
We don't even have Kroger down here.
We could do a
We
whole
might be
nother
better than
episode
that.
about Publix being better than grocery than Kroger. Kroger of all places. I mean, you could have picked
Kroger.
something. You're picking Kroger. Whoa. Talk about coming with a
Like not
dud.
even like Winn-Dixie or
And this
Aldi.
L, Felipe.
Anyway, but like grocery store
Albertsons.
wars.
My lord.
But yeah, just
Kroger.
craziness.
Austin, though, who in all seriousness, who are you excited to see? What could they do that would make this, other than how obviously special this is, what would they do that could make this even better?
I want to hear David Beckham speak in Spanish. I think that would be awesome. Not that I'd understand it, but I want to see David Beckham try to appease the Spanish-speaking crowd and see if he can get something out in Spanish. Shakira is probably at the top of my list, 100%. I think Shakira and Bad Bunny would be like the two names. I guess Pitbull too. Pitbull would be up there, but Shakira, Bad Bunny, that I think is a tandem that you cannot go wrong with, especially in like a South Florida type vibe. But I'm not sure exactly where else they could look to. I mean, if they could pull out some other local talent, sure. But I think it's a big enough event for Jorge Mas, David Beckham, Jose to say, yeah, we're going to pull out all the stops and make sure that this is one of the biggest things that can happen.
Those are like local talent. I know that sounds kind of crazy, but like Pitbull's local.
Yeah.
I guess to a certain extent.
That's true.
I would like to see Bad Bunny. I think Bad Bunny is like, connects with the culture of the fans a little bit more closely, and like, he's done all the pro wrestling stuff recently. Like, I think that he is involved in enough of the shameless plugging stuff that Bad Bunny would be great for an event like this.
He's on a lifelong celebrity tour, man. Like he's going everywhere. So give it to him. Just give it to him.
One guy that we will. Yeah, sorry.
No, yeah, I was agreeing with you guys, especially about the WWE thing.
One guy that we will expect probably will not be in attendance is Rodolfo Pizarro. It looks like he is on his way to Greece, to AEK Athens. Reports yesterday, on Thursday, that he has already agreed to terms with them. That would be a contract termination. From the way that I read the reports, it would be a contract termination, not a buyout. Why do I make sure that that's very clear? Because you can only do one buyout per season. And that would save Inter Miami a lot of money if they do not have to buy out the remainder, somewhat like $1.52 million on Rodolfo Pizarro's deal. So that would save the owners a good chunk of change there, if that's the case. So not only would that free up the designated player spot, but also it would not cost the team the extra money. We talked last week about the disappointing, saga that has been Rodolfo Pizarro's time at Inter Miami since his return, even before his return, before he went to Monterrey for a couple years, then came back. It hasn't been great. And you can go back to last week's episode and hear the long and the short of it. But guys, if this is the case, it seems to be a best for both parties situation. And obviously wish him well. I've been very critical of Rodolfo Pizarro. If you look back, I mean, he was one of the worst players in the first half of the last game. He's got 1 assist on the year, 0 goals. I just, if it happens, then this happens in the best way possible, where you're not getting anything back for him. You're not getting a transfer fee back. You're not trading him within the league to get anything back. But it would allow a clean break and an opportunity for everybody to move on.
Yeah, and I think we were discussing, the difference between a buyout and a mutual contract termination. I believe Miami did something similar with Kieran Gibbs earlier in the season, where it was just a mutual termination. And Ian, you mentioned in one of your tweets that similar to Mo Adams as well, how I think it was just a mutual termination, and he was able to go
sorry to cut you off, but it's closer to Mo Adams than it is to Kieran Gibbs, because Kieran is still working for the club doing the pregame stuff. But Mo Adams last year was a clean break, so that would be more similar.
Yeah. I think he's playing in Saudi Arabia now,
Mhm.
or some
UAE,
country
I think it was.
like that.
I saw the other day, by the
UAE.
way,
So
this is a weird tangent, but Pozuelo left for the UAE now too. He's playing in Dubai. So
really,
yeah, I saw
yeah,
that
and
the
that's
other day too.
crazy how earlier in the season we were discussing, Miami should they bring back Pozuelo, and it's crazy to think that if they would have brought back Pozuelo, then Messi, Busquets, Alba, well, maybe Busquets and Messi because they're taking DP spots, that probably would have been a lot more difficult to put on the roster had Pozuelo re-signed. But yeah, I guess it works out in the end. But yeah, like Pizarro. Massive disappointment. Obviously, I do like his skill set as a player. He's very good, very dribbly, very good at ball retention, but I think so many times, his dribbling skills can get him out of difficult situations, especially with his back to goal and those half spaces. But there are just too many times where he holds onto the ball a little bit too long, and maybe makes the wrong decisions when he does have the ball. And there are just several instances that I could bring up tape and show people, but yeah, like you said, Ian, I think we all wish him the best, and hopefully he can get his mojo back in Greece with his ex coach, Matias Almeida, and yeah, it'll be intriguing to see how he gets on there. Usually, players who leave Inter Miami are usually put into better situations than what the team is. Example, Lewis Morgan, maybe Julian Carranza, maybe Christian McCoon. I don't know. He's been a bit of a journeyman now in MLS, but yeah, I think Pizarro just didn't work out. He was the club's first ever DP signing, scored the club's first ever goal, and yeah, sometimes it just doesn't work out like they planned. But with Martino here now, I think he's going to have his pick of what players he wants to make the team better. And already, we're probably going to transition over into talking about some of these transfer rumors. But yeah, it was just a matter of time for Rodolfo, and it's the business, and it is what it is. So hopefully he can rebound in Greece when he gets there, reportedly.
I was really hoping for a interleague trade. Honestly, I think it
Hmm.
would have been a little bit more beneficial for Miami. Granted, they need to do everything they can to get him off the books. However, getting anything in return would have been a more positive thing than just a mutual buyout or mutual termination. Sorry, in my opinion. Like maybe if Almeida was still in San Jose, maybe just trading him over to the West Coast at some point with him if he was still coaching there, that would have been fine
Yeah.
too. But that just wasn't the case. I wish the LA Galaxy thing would have worked out. Maybe I'm not exactly sure where Pizarro's preferences are. I do think that Athens team does have a chance at making Champions League at some point in the near
I
future.
think
So
they are in the Champions League this season.
if they
Yeah.
are in the Champions
Yeah.
League or in the qualification stage, whatever it is, like that is good for Pizarro's career objectively.
Hmm.
So good for him. I was just hoping that Inter Miami were able to get something in return. I guess you could say Messi as a DP is what you're getting in return, and you do everything you can to get him off the roster. But there could have been some interleague compensation, which I would have rather preferred. But nonetheless, he is possibly off to Greece, off the team, and just makes the most sense. It has to happen, and shout out to Pizarro. Hope all the best for him. But there's no other way to go about it.
Yeah, on that real quick, I don't think Pizarro wanted to go to the Galaxy. I know people were reporting that the Galaxy were interested, but I just don't. I think with Pizarro's comments about trades within the league and how he felt about that, I don't think he wanted to get traded to another team. I do think he probably just wanted the freedom of choice to choose his next career path. But like you said, Austin, yeah, I agree. I wish Miami would have gotten at least something back from this, but it is what it is, and they've been trying to, yeah, just get rid of Pizarro since last season when they send him off on loan. So yeah, it just how the business works, I guess, and now he's free to go and reunite with his ex coach.
Well, I'll tell you what they got back for it. What they got back for it was not needing to buy down Leo Campana, who now remains as a
Yeah.
designated player, and you keep those U22 initiative slots, which is very important now. As Alex, I wanted to ask you just real fast the transfer rumors of who possibly could be those fourth or fifth players that are coming in are really surrounding just U22 initiative players from South America that we've seen in recent weeks, whether they come to fruition or not. Pretty much every single player fits within that mold. With Gregory now being bought down, with Pizarro now being leaving, you have those two spots that will be filled by Messi and Busquets. Jordi Alba comes as a TAM player, and you have the two, Campana being the third designated player, gives you two U22 initiative slots. Remember, Emerson Rodriguez is on loan right now at Santos Laguna. And so with those two slots, what are some of the things that are being talked about in the rumor mill?
Yeah, so for one, I'll start with probably a position of need in the midfield right now. I think, obviously with Gregory not, close to returning, but not quite, he's still out. John Mata still out. Even I'll throw in Coco Jean, who I believe it was either Austin or you, Ian, that tweeted that he's going back home to France to recover. He's out for the season with a knee injury. So midfield is an important a place that Miami need to kind of retool. And for one, I believe one of the reports was about Diego Gomez, a Paraguayan box-to-box central midfielder from, I believe it was Libertad from Paraguay. I think according to reports, he is close to joining Inter Miami, which would be, at least for me, in my opinion, much needed for the team. David Ruiz has been super excellent, but I believe this weekend he is suspended against St. Louis because of his yellow card accumulation. So right now, Miami's midfield depth is basically Dixon Arroyo and maybe Edison Ascona, or maybe you move even up like Ian Frey to as a defensive midfielder. So with Diego Gomez reportedly coming in, a 20-year-old central midfielder, kind of a box-to-box guy who loves to score, kind of similar to Benja Kremeski, but maybe a little bit more refined. And obviously he's been playing football a little bit longer at the top level. But, it's going to be reportedly, if that does happen, it's going to be a really good signing for Miami. That's something that I'm super high on. Another signing is, again, Facundo Farias from Cologne in Argentina, 20-year-old central striker, attacking midfielder, winger, which will fill in a lot of positions of need for Miami. Right now, according to reports, Miami are just kind of not haggling, just kind of negotiating the price right now. So let's see if that comes to fruition. Obviously, a lot of these guys are South American, Argentine, Paraguayan. So it'll be really cool to see just something that, I think I was discussing in another group chat. I think this is what we all wanted Miami to be like, to be initially, just signing young, talented South American players, which they tried with, the Carranzas and the Pellegrinis, but, that didn't really pan out for them in Miami. Obviously they went on to Union and New York CFC to play well, but, I think this is what we wanted to see initially for Inter Miami, just young South American players coming in and wanting to, play in Miami. Obviously now they're playing alongside Messi, and then hopefully make that jump to Europe. But yeah, so for right now, with the two U22 spots, I know there are other names linked, but, Miami will have to do some serious cap lifting in order to fit them underneath their situation. But right now it's really Diego Gomez and Facundo Farias, according to reports, which I think they'll be very good when they come to fruition.
And let's not forget,
nothing speaks.
Yeah, go ahead, Austin.
No, I was just. No. It's a really quick thing. David Ruiz, yellow card accumulation, Inter Miami midfielder. Is there a better fit? I don't think so.
He learned from the best.
Yeah.
but that's like that's what, to go back to that though, we're coming off DC United where the kids absolutely shined in a way that, I think everybody, ourselves especially, who have seen these kids, I've been following Ian Frey since he was playing in Miramar. So just to see him be on the field and contributing in this regard is really exciting and really great to see. 6 homegrown players on the field all at the same time just speaks to what Inter Miami's academy has been able to do. That is just absolutely astonishing for an MLS club to get road points on the backs of goals from homegrown players. When your designated players aren't really doing anything too. So that's just really, really impressive for what they're going to do. Let's see, guys, as we close out the show with talking about St. Louis City SC, if they can do it again this weekend. This is the final game, like we mentioned at the top of the show, pre-Messi, and it will be the kids that will be called upon one more time to be a big person to put them in the position where they can very much succeed and try and make something happen here. So with that said, St. Louis City, they have Roman Berkey, who has been probably statistically at least the best goalkeeper in MLS this season, as the first captain in St. Louis City history. Tim Parker is also an all-star along that defense. They don't blow you away like they were the first couple of weeks of the year. They've come back down to earth. Even though they're tops of the Western Conference, they have 12 wins, 8 losses. So that Western Conference is not as strong as the East. But it is a very difficult place to play, as they have proven. They have a great home fan base. What are you most excited about, Austin, heading into this first ever trip to St. Louis?
Well, I'm excited to see what Tata Martino rolls out with, this roster. Kamal Miller coming back. I don't know if on his availability, if he will be able to play after the Gold Cup. Yedlin. Well, yeah, that's true. That I forgot about that. That happened quicker than I imagined, and I think that most of us imagined. But that'd be a quick turnaround for Yedlin. Given that he lost to Panama in penalties on Wednesday.
I don't think he played though. So
he did play. He came in late in the 70th, around the 67th, I think.
Yeah, I believe he came in late. He played, decent, but it was still an awful game to watch up until the Pens, and then Kamal Miller losing a little bit before that. So seeing Kamal Miller being inserted to the lineup under Tata Martino next to Krivstov could be huge, depending on what Tata Martino does with Ian Frey. That's another thing I'm looking at. Is he going to put him next to Arroyo, Alex, as you mentioned, or is he going to play with 3 center backs? Where's Noah Allen going to play? Is he going to test him out as a 3rd center back, or is he going to test him out as a wing back, depending on the formation with Alba coming in? What's the decision like there? I'm very curious to see what Tata Martino does. That's the thing that I'm looking forward to the most. I want to see the kids perform again as well. If they can get another point away from home, I think it's a positive sign. I want to see what happens with the striker situation. Will it be Campana? Will it be Joseph? I think that it's going to lean a little bit more towards Joseph in this one, but I would like to see a 2-striker formation. I don't think it'll happen. I'd rather have Campana start. I don't think I'm going to get any of my wishes. There's a lot to look forward to. I don't know if he's going to play anybody in a position that would try and emulate what Messi is going to do when he comes on the pitch. Are they going to have a free roaming type of guy? There's a lot of questions to be asked under Tata Martino's first game, and I think that's where all the attention should be.
Yeah, and to that Yedlin point, I saw him on the bench, cheering on something. So for some reason, my mind connected that he just didn't play. But yeah, like you guys said, he came on and it had some minutes. But still, Yedlin's a pretty fit guy, so the turnaround should be okay. But still,
yeah,
I guess
he
wouldn't want to risk
played
it. But
like about an hour, Alex, and actually the one goal that Panama scored, as was pointed to me online, it was borderline offsides, but if he was onside, it was Yedlin that was holding him onside. So he actually was responsible for the one goal. But yeah, I did play about an hour.
Wow. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know if he'll play, but Kamal Miller will definitely be back. And yeah, like Austin said, I'm intrigued to see just how Martino sets it up. And I'm inclined to write a piece about how it was tactically. So stay tuned for that. But yeah, let's see how that goes.
The one thing that I'm really interested on that we haven't touched on, but that I'm going to be watching for in the coming weeks when Messi gets introduced here, is the passing. This team is one of the worst passing teams in MLS. It's in the bottom 3 in expected assists. This far into the season, we're nearly 2/3 of the way through the MLS season, believe it or not. And this team is bottom 3 in expected assists, bottom 3 in key passes, bottom 3 in progressive passes, bottom 3 in passes into the penalty area. So there are not a lot of, the one things that they're high on are crosses, whether or not those are successful or not. So I'm very interested to see how the passing improves over the next couple of games and into this new midfield that is being created specifically to improve this team. So we'll go from there and see. But that's definitely going to be the biggest thing that I'm looking forward to as we get into this game. It should be an interesting environment, I think, as well, right? Like, are we excited for the opportunity? This is the first ever trip for. I pointed out to Joseph he's scored against 27 teams in Major League Soccer, and one of those 2 teams is St. Louis that he has not scored against. Obviously, he's never played against St. Louis, so this could be an interesting opportunity for him as well.
Who's the other team that he hasn't scored against?
You know, I keep trying to figure that out, and I there's a sense I've looked and looked and looked. It might be Chivas USA, but I don't think that would necessarily count.
Is that count? Yeah, that's a weird one. But yeah, it makes sense. St. Louis 27 record, obviously in MLS. That happened in the last match that he scored. It would be cool to see him get the goal, extend the lead to 28 to almost an unbeatable record, which would be awesome for Joseph in MLS. I really, it's got to be a Western Conference team, right?
Yeah,
it has to be.
I can't imagine. I've looked and I've looked and I've looked, and I try and do it in my brain, and I short circuit every time.
I'm going to throw out a long guess, and we'll look it up after the show. It's Salt Lake or San Jose. Those are my two guesses.
But okay. I would think it'd be more likely that it'd be like an LAFC.
Oh, okay. Yeah, a newer team. Yeah, that makes sense too.
Or Austin. You know,
Austin. Austin might make sense.
Recently, and the West, he might have only gotten one game against them. And so,
did he score? No, who scored in the 1-1 on 2 Saturdays ago?
Yeah, that's why
Austin was taken off the list.
Austin taken off the list. Yeah. Right. Oh, anyway, this is not part of the pod.
Yeah, we're getting off on a tangent.
We've had a lot of fun digressions today, from Publix to Shakira to Bad Bunny and wrestling to Kroger. Yeah. Kroger. It's been a lot of fun. I think that means that it's probably time for us to go, guys. And make sure, as we're getting excited for this St. Louis City game, we will be at the Unveil. Make sure you follow all of us. We will have full team coverage of the Unveil. Also, all the big happenings this week, wall-to-wall coverage this week as we get ready for Messi's first ever game next Friday at Drive Pink Stadium against Cruz Azul. That will definitely be the answer to a trivia question for a very long time. Lionel Messi's first game, Cruz Azul, Friday, July 21st, 2023. A very exciting time for everybody in South Florida, even if you find yourself randomly in line on the phone behind Messi in Publix. That has been the Heron Outlet for this week. Make sure you follow us on Twitter, on Instagram, on TikTok. We're on a bunch of social medias. Where else am I thinking? Twitch. Make sure you follow us on our YouTube channel. If you're watching us here, subscribe and like the channel, like this video. Make sure you subscribe to our Substack, theheronoutlet.substack.com, and wherever you get your podcasts. If it's on Google, Apple, Spotify, or YouTube Music, you can find us all over the place. Thank you guys so much for joining us. I am so excited for the Unveil, and what a memorable week this is about to be. She is Alex Winley. He is Austin Roblard. For our producer, Andres, I am Ian Hest. This has been the Heron Outlet. We'll see you back here this time next week.